Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show.
Do you ever feel like, let me ask you a question.
A plastic bag
No.
blowing through the wind?
Do you ever feel like everybody in your life just lets you down and that life is just a series of constant disappointments? That the people that you rely on, the people that you call friends, you ask them to do one thing and they don't. You ever feel like that, Fiddle?
Can't say that I do, but it sounds like you're speaking from personal experience.
Sure.
We have our pouty corner over
No,
there.
recent personal experience.
Uh-huh. And why is that?
You may remember that on Friday, on these very airwaves, I asked you to do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what that favor was?
Yeah, it was to watch Godzilla vs. Kong.
Right. I did.
Uh-huh.
Did you happen to watch Godzilla vs. Kong?
I got a little busy this weekend and wasn't able to make that happen. I will say this. Like I said...
So we can't review Godzilla vs. Kong.
No, our good buddy Trevor at Texan Live did send me a full synopsis of it because I realized that I hadn't watched it and I knew he had watched it.
So now you know what happens
So
in it without watching it?
I didn't read it all the way through because I was like, well, I am still going to end up watching it. So I was honest with you. I could have just pretended like I had seen it. But I decided to be a good, honest, truthful person. And now I'm just getting shamed for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can just sit here and think about that.
I mean,
I don't know, like, what's the greatest betrayal in your life?
it doesn't revolve around a
okay.
movie of
It's
a giant gorilla.
It's interesting.
But
it's interesting.
To each their own, I guess.
You know,
pain comes in many forms.
Just nice assignment that we could have bonded over.
Mm-hmm.
Something we could have done together. Had some fun on the show.
Mm-hmm. We can
Reviewing a movie.
But now it's great because now Ish said he's gonna watch it today or tomorrow.
Oh, there's also that.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm the one getting shamed here.
Well, no.
Rightfully
to be
so.
clear,
but
you're not getting out of this.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I have a partner in crime here.
But
that needs to be mentioned.
Ishmael Johnson supposed to come on the show and review Godzilla vs. Kong. So now I have all of these thoughts. I have all of these. I have this review teed up, and it's just gonna boil and fester inside me that I can't get these takes out. I can't tell people what I really thought of Godzilla vs. Kong. It's
It was a holiday weekend.
Was it?
There was a holiday on the weekend. It wasn't like a holiday weekend. We didn't get Friday off, but there was a holiday. A big one.
What better way to honor the resurrection of our Lord and Savior than by watching a nuclear dinosaur and an enormous gorilla fight? Like, what? Like, I feel like, you know those bracelets, WWJD?
Yeah. Is that what Jesus would do?
You know what Jay would do? He would have watched Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm just saying. I'm not mad.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Despondent is the word that I would use.
Well.
I'm just, you know.
And
it's like somebody took my heart and they dropped it into a bucket of boiling tears.
Ish is saying there is basketball on right now, which is another reason why I didn't watch it. One, there was this really, really good basketball game. Two of them. Well, the first one wasn't super good. That happened on Saturday. So my night was consumed by that. Then, yesterday, I had a friend come in from out of town. So my day was consumed by that. So
I just want to make sure about that I understand what you're saying here. Is that you chose friendship
over a nuclear monkey or dragon or whatever it is. What is it? I need to watch the movie. I'll get there eventually.
I hope the look of disgust on my face is resonating with people. Ridiculous.
They said that you're full of it, so it's resonating.
Hit the theme expo. Maybe we won't do a show. Let's go! Free money! Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show on the internet. My name is Greg Tepper. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com or on Facebook, or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle.
Howdy.
Wearing an illegal shirt, or an illegal coat.
You can't see it. You cannot tell me that it's legal because you can't see it.
I mean, I can see it.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't?
The masses can't see it.
Oh, okay. You better
because
be careful.
I have short and I have hair.
Better be careful. Today is Monday, April 5th, 2021. It is 234 days until Thanksgiving. Episode 1140. 1140. This is the Jerome Williams episode. Oh, my God, Jerome Williams. That's a former Angel great who came over for a cup of coffee with the Rangers at some point in 2014. Played in 2 games. My God.
It's a big day in your baseball world today. Kind of.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's opening day. I mean, for the at the new ballpark.
I have. Rangers are going to be super bad, and they're going to be.
They won yesterday.
They're going to be tough to follow. They're going to be tough to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be tough to watch. But yes, they do. They are having a game in Arlington today.
Yes.
So, I think some people in the office are going.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think sales crew is going.
Yeah, because,
That's why Rob was wearing jeans today.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Casual.
Yes, casual.
Baseball fandom.
Casual Monday, as you do. On today's show, friends, we've got headlines from across the state, including some major coaching changes both at the head coaching spots and at the assistant coaching spots. We'll explain what that means coming up here in the moment. In the back half of the show, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Panthers. Coach Dewaski Davis will join us. A pretty remarkable year for Coach Davis. One of the biggest turnarounds in the state, taking a winless program to the playoffs there at Liberty-Eylau in his first year, taking over under obviously extremely strange circumstances with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm excited to talk to Coach Dewaski Davis coming up here in the back half of the program if you stay tuned with us. Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Tony Blaylock, Ed McElroy, Rob Hadaway, and Meese joining us from Salt Lake City, Utah.
From Utah?
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
So he's watching us at 11:04.
Yeah, we're in the future.
We're in the afternoon.
How about that?
You're in the morning. You're still having your coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, are you even out of bed? Don't answer that question. Okay. A lot to get to today. A lot of headlines from across the state to pound through. Let's start with the college football front. Let's start with the as we're want to do. We will start with the actual action on the field. It was another week of the sub-FBS teams getting going. The number 4 team in the nation, the Sam Houston Bearcats, the number 4 team in the nation, and, of course, their coach, Texas Football Today's own Casey Keeler, got a tough one. They went on the road and beat Northwestern State 24-16. It's their 3rd straight win. This is kind of amazing. It's an amazing note from Corey Hogue on TexasFootball.com. This is the 4th straight time they've won at Turpin Stadium, where Northwestern State plays. It's that's the most consecutive road wins against NSU since they started playing in 1929. Like, they've never beaten them 3 times in a row on the road. Like, Northwestern State's just always been a thorn in their side. And so, pretty amazing. But they were able to hold off a rally from Sam Houston State, or rather from Northwestern State, to come across with a big-time victory. And once again, the defense was fantastic for them. They held them to just 43 rushing yards. They were very, very good. In the small, the very, very small school ranks, there's another nationally ranked squad in the state of Texas. A few of them, actually. As Kilgore, the number 2 team in the JUCO ranks, they went on. They played Northeastern Oklahoma A&M on Saturday and ended up beating the Norsemen 14-13. Another
Always
fantastic
fun to say.
defense. That was a really, really big one for them. On the other side, we've lavished praise on Tarleton this year, the number 21 team in the FCS ranks right now. We've lavished praise on them making the leap to there. Maybe they were just due for a bit of a regression. Maybe they were just due for an off week, but they got an off week, and they end up losing to East Central Oklahoma, which is a Division II team. They lose 21-14, and this was they could not run the ball. Tarleton was not able to run the ball. They coughed it up 3 times, and look, I wonder. There's a lot to break down there, because they had been really rolling along, and it had been like, man, Tarleton, like, they've got it figured out. The FCS, like, that transition is not going to be that difficult for them. But I think it's just proof that, like, there's no straight roads. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be curves and trouble spots there. And obviously, maybe they overlooked them. Maybe they looked past them. But a little bit disappointing there for Tarleton. They were number 21 in the most recent rankings. One would think they will tumble out of the top 25 after losing to a Division II squad. I think East Central Oklahoma is pretty good as far as Division II teams are concerned.
Yes.
But much in the same way that if you're an FBS team, there's not an excuse to lose to an FCS team.
Right.
If you're a ranked FCS team, there's not an excuse to lose to a Division II team. And so,
especially if you're trying to prove yourself that you deserve to be up there.
Now, look, here's the thing. If this was their first game of the year and we didn't have and entering the season, they lose their first game to East Central Oklahoma, we'd be like, well, or then be like, oh, okay, well, hey, that transition was always going to be tough, and it looks like it's just going to be a tough transition. That's a decent Division II team. But I think
being played in the spring too, that would have numbed it too.
But they raised their own bar. They set they raised their own expectations through how they've played in the early part of the season, and as a result, it's a little bit disappointing to see, especially at home, Tarleton take a loss to East Central Oklahoma. So disappointing there from there, but overall a decent week on the small college front in the state of Texas. Okay, let's get to some college or some high school football action. And it's not often that we are going to have 2 stories revolving around the same coaching vacancy. Yeah. But we will. We're going to have 2 of them around the same vacancy. We're going to go down to Austin, talk about Austin Del Valle. I'm sorry, Austin Del Valle. It's El Paso Del Valle. It's Austin Del Valle, because that makes sense. Okay.
Words are fun.
The head coach at Del Valle for the past 8 seasons has been Charles Burton. Charles Burton resigned after 8 seasons, led them to the playoffs in 2016. He was the longest tenured head coach in the school's history. So that opens up a decent job there at Del Valle. Well, that job has been filled by an out-of-stater. A gentleman by the name of Bobby Acosta will be the new head coach at Del Valle, rather. I'm going to get it.
We'll get it right eventually.
He will be the new head coach at Del Valle. He is coming from IMG Academy. IMG Academy, of course, the program there in Florida. They posted, for what it's worth, they posted an 8-0 record under him. IMG is, I think, for people who follow high school football, that is a bit of a different animal. They are a program that routinely has a number of big-time prospects playing for them. So there is obviously a big talent, a big talent influx there at IMG that he may not have at Del Valle. But 8-0 is 8-0, plain and simple.
Right.
And so Bobby Acosta.
They beat Duncanville this year.
They did.
So there's something that's notable.
Yeah, they came to Texas and they beat Duncanville. So IMG Academy coach Bobby Acosta is moving from Florida to Austin to take over at Del Valle. That was his only job. Rather, that was his only year at IMG was this past year. So I'll plead ignorance. I don't know where he was before then. So I'll have to do some research there. But Del Valle does have a new head coach. It is Bobby Acosta coming in from IMG Academy. And so you're probably thinking, okay, well, what happened with Charles Burton? And we don't talk a ton about like coordinator changes.
Right.
We don't talk a lot about every year. On this show, it's hard enough to focus on all the head coaching
I was going to
changes.
say there's 1,400,
Yes.
over 1,400 coaching changes that we have to keep up.
Yeah,
with.
right. It's
You
hard
know?
enough to keep up with all the head coaching changes. I will just tell you that there's always a lot of movement in the assistant coaches ranks, right?
Absolutely.
There's guys going from here to there, hiring a new offensive coordinator, hiring a new assistant here, or a new defensive line
We
coach,
would need a whole
things
other
like that.
staff to keep
Right.
up with that.
It's just impossible. It's just impossible. But one we are going to focus on is what came down and what's being reported by the Austin American-Statesman. I first saw it reported by our friend Thomas Jones down there at the Austin American-Statesman, that Charles Burton is going to become an assistant on the staff at Lake Travis, joining the staff there for Hank Carter there at Lake Travis. Obviously, pretty good get there for Hank Carter, a guy who's got head coaching experience. Whenever you're able to bring him onto the into the mix, he's going to have some good ideas, and there's a lot to gain there, right?
But let's go even deeper into the
You're probably
weeds.
wondering why I'm mentioning this.
Well,
Because there are a lot of other former head football coaches who land at programs as assistants, right? It's because Charles Burton has a son.
his offspring is quite good at football.
He has a son, and it is 5-star wide receiver Caleb Burton, who will be joining him at Lake Travis. And so suddenly, Lake Travis has a 5-star wide receiver on their campus and has a 5-star wide receiver joining the Cavaliers.
Who is also a coach's kid, and a
Right.
lot of times that brings a lot of height to a program.
Right. Caleb Burton, according to he's an Ohio State committee. He's a 5-star prospect, according to 24/7. I want to see, where do we have him in our Hot 100? Let me make sure of this.
Are recently
Our 2022
released.
Hot 100. We have him at, okay, come on, link me to it. You're TexasFootball.com/recruiting. You can find Caleb Burton checking in at number 9. So the number 9, we have him as a Dave Campbell's Texas Football 4-star right now. He is certainly, I think if you talk with Greg Powers, he is certainly in the mix for a 5th star. One of the very best prospects in the state of Texas. A top 10 prospect in the state of Texas is joining his father at Lake Travis to join the staff there. So that is big doings as well. Other coaching changes from around the state. Let's go to the Valley. Brownsville Veterans Memorial has made a hire, and they are bringing in a college football coach. The head coach of East, and this was from a couple weeks ago, but Eastern New Mexico University, Kelly Lee, is leaving Eastern New Mexico to play at Brownsville Veterans Memorial. He spent the last 4 years as the head coach at ENMU. He was there for 4 years as an assistant. They did not play in the fall in 2020. Eastern New Mexico did not. He is leaving to become the new head coach at Brownsville Veterans Memorial. So anytime you're able to snatch a college football coach, that's pretty big doings there. Another one out in East Texas, and we're going to talk to an East Texas coach coming up here in a moment.
To confirm he's going to coach. You said he's going to play at
No, I'm
Brownsville.
sorry. He's going to coach.
His eligibility is
I don't know what Coach Kelly Lee's eligibility is. Maybe he's going to be player coach, but he will be the coach at Brownsville Veterans Memorial. Let's talk about a guy who we're quite familiar with on this show, Tristan Abram. Tristan Abram was, you remember back in 2019, he was able to take Paul Pewitt to the state
Coach of the
championship game. He was our Dave Campbell's Texas Football Coach of the Year. He moves from Paul Pewitt to Mejia. Is there for 1 year, led them to a district championship and a spot in the area around playoffs. He's on the move again. He's heading back out east, back to northeast Texas, to take over at Pittsburgh. He will take over at Pittsburgh. This is it was a difficult end to last year. If you remember, Mejia had to forfeit their area round game because of COVID-19 protocols. So they didn't even have a loss to end their season.
No.
He is now going to be moving out to Pittsburgh to take over the Pirates of Pittsburgh, the high school football team, not the baseball team. He will be taking over Pittsburgh out there in East Texas. So Tristan Abram on the move once again. And then one more. I want to make sure this doesn't fall through the cracks. This is pretty big. I thought that this was a pretty big move that you may not have been paying attention to. But Gerald has been down in the dumps for a while. This is a program that's been a bit downtrodden lately. They have made a big-time splash hire when they brought in Marty Murr, the head coach from San Augustine, to take over there. Coach Murr was they had a difficult year last year, but between 2017 and 2019, they went to the state semifinals in 2A Division I 3 straight years. They were 40-5 during those 3 years. This guy knows what he's doing. And he is a guy who, before that, he had stops at Alto and Anahuac. He is now going to Gerald, a very heavy-hitting hire here for Gerald as they bring in Marty Murr from San Augustine. So, of course, you can find all of the Texas high school football coaching changes at texasfootball.com. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Texasfootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. I want to invite you to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe. If you subscribe, you will get the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands. If you go to texasfootball.com/subscribe, get it in your mailbox before it goes to stands. texasfootball.com/subscribe. Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's bring in the head coach of the Texarkana Liberty-Eylau Leopards. We are joined by Coach Dewaski Davis. Coach, how are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. How are things in beautiful Texarkana, Texas?
Oh, going pretty good. Going pretty good.
Fantastic. I want to ask you a little bit about last year. You take over this program there at Liberty-Eylau. A program coming off of a winless season, a program that really was in need of a spark, and all you guys do is produce one of the biggest turnarounds in the state of Texas, going 6-5, making it back to the playoffs, even despite you weren't even named the athletic director and head coach until June. Considering everything that was going on in the offseason, how was it that you were able to put together this turnaround at Liberty-Eylau?
I had some great coaches, number one. I also had some great kids that bought into some changes we brought about, and those changes kind of fit right in, some of them position-wise and system-wise. And I feel like after that, we kind of laid the foundation and built a trust factor that it all fell in place.
So, to go back to what you mentioned about the trust factor, you're a guy who's got a great history coaching high school football at Queen City and at Clarksville. You've had great success. Was there a point early in the season or even before the season started where you could sense that buy-in? You could sense the guys that the guys were buying what you were selling, essentially?
Yes, it was. Early in the season, I felt like the turning point last year in basketball. I was a basketball coach, and I had a lot of these same guys, and they realized that I was going to be fair and I was going to be firm, and that's the philosophy we adopted. And the kids just bought in 2 days. If it wasn't for our COVID shutdown for 2 weeks with our offensive line, we felt like we would have been even better than what we were this season.
It's pretty remarkable what you guys are able to do. We're talking with Dewaski Davis, head coach at Liberty-Eylau, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. Coach, so then looking forward now to this offseason, it's your first, I would say, actual offseason with your guys here. You've been around this program before, but your first real offseason with your guys. What are you hoping to accomplish this time around to get you ready for 2021?
We're trying to raise our level of play. We felt like we could have done a little bit more. So we've tested them physically, pushed them, and they've raised the bar this year as of what we expected out of them, and we feel good where we're at. and we had a really good offseason so far. So we're just hoping we can continue that throughout the course of the summer, and it'll show in the season.
You're a guy who I think it's fair to say defense is where it starts for you. You're a guy who really focuses a lot on the defensive side. And last year, that was such a remarkable jump that you guys were able to have defensively. You know, from being one of the defense that really struggled in 2019 to a defense that it was a real asset for you guys throughout the course of the year. When you take a look forward to the 2021 defense for your Leopards, do you have a feeling quite yet on what they're going to look like?
Yes, we feel like we lost a few key pieces, but at the same time, I think our IQ picked up a little bit more, and we feel good about that. I think we'll be a little stronger physically than what we were last year as well. We got a pretty good man-child down there in the trenches, and we got to replace him. But we feel like kids have bought into the defense this past year. He and I worked together before, and I thought he'd be great, and he was. So I think the kids really bought in a little bit more to what we're trying to do. So we feel like, as a whole, we'll be better.
One guy that I think really stepped up for you in a big way last year was your quarterback, Jaden Hampton. Just a sophomore, you kind of threw him right into the fire, and it feels like he really delivered for you in a way that was, an impressive way. What did you see from your sophomore quarterback last year, and what do you expect from him going forward?
Jay is a very smart football player. He picks up things really well. They asked early in the spring last year who would I pick, and I told him that hands down it'd be JJ, just because of what he brings to the table. Well, he's had a pretty good offseason. He got hurt at the end of the season, still threw for about 1,200 yards. So we expect more, bigger, and better things out of him this year, because now the game slowed down a little bit for him, which makes him even better.
Coach, do you have a feeling quite yet on what is going to be different about this team this year as opposed to last year? Obviously, last year, I don't want to say you guys were scrambling, but you were named the head coach in June. You were able to just put together a program and go. Do you have a feeling quite yet on what may be different about this year than last year?
This year, we made some changes offensively. Hopefully that will be a deciding factor for us. And I feel like they were kind of behind the gun last year. It was just total buy-in kind of came at times, but we feel like right now we're ahead of the game offensively. And I guess going through a full off season is going to be a tremendous asset for us this season as well.
Talking with Dewaski Davis, the head coach at Liberty-Eylau here in Texas Football Today. Coach, I know you're busy, so I'll let you go after this. Your district does you no favors. You're in there with Gilmer, with Pleasant Grove, with a Pittsburgh team that's going to have a new coach. Spring Hill, I think, is on the rise out there. It's a really good district. What do you tell your kids? How do you approach that, knowing full well that you're in there with, teams that are going to be state ranked to start the year? How do you approach that kind of district slate that you guys will be up against?
Well, I tell them this: if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to play the best. So we got the best around in the state, and we feel like that's going to help us get better. Our mindset is we're ready for any challenges. So I feel good that our kids are going to rise to the occasion. Our district's going to test us more ways than one, but it's just going to make us better for the long run.
He's Dewaski Davis. He's the head coach of the Texarkana Liberty-Eylau Leopards. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on a fantastic 2020 season, and looking forward to seeing your boys in 2021.
All right, thank you.
There he goes, Dewaski Davis, the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards, joining us here on Texas Football Today. I realized something. In the open, I called them the Panthers, and the reason is that Liberty is the Panthers, and Liberty Hill is the Panthers, and Liberty-Eylau is the Leopards.
Yep.
I realized I had a brain melt there, but really incredible. They made a suit. In fact, if you go back to, I don't have a magazine, it's over there. if you go look at our 2020 magazine, I think we list Clint King as the head coach.
Yeah, that was a very late hire.
Turbo late change. Like I think the latest change.
Yes.
And Dewaski Davis takes over. He was the basketball coach there. He takes over the football program, and to go from 0-10 to 6-5 is, I mean, it's the biggest turnaround in the state as far as win total increase is concerned. Like we'll talk about that more tomorrow on Texas Football Today. But that's one of the biggest turnarounds in the state, and to do that, like, but at the same time, and this is definitely hindsight being 2020. This is also one of those things that, like, okay, a lot of this makes sense because he was really good at Clarksville before this. Like, he's a guy who has some pedigree. He's a guy who right now he has a career record of he's coached a lot of games and coached a lot of good teams. I mean, he took Clarksville to the quarterfinals. I want to say 3 times. This is a guy who knows what he's doing, and so and this is a Liberty-Eylau program that I think 0-10, like their 2019 season was out of character. If you look over the course of their history, they've had downish years, but never that down. It seemed like he just picked up the ball and ran, and it was really impressive to see Liberty-Eylau go from real doormat, plain and simple, to like suddenly in the playoffs and contending and giving trouble to Gilmer and PG and those teams there in that district. That it's really, really incredible the turnaround they were able to do.
The tough district, the amount of time was so minimal. On top of that, you're doing it when there's a global pandemic going on. So, I mean, that's something that we didn't even talk about with him, but you focus on all of that collectively. Yeah, 6-5. What a turnaround in every facet.
It really is. It's really impressive, and a lot of it, look, they were a team that I think in 2019 gave up around 44 points a game, and last year they were giving up around 21. I mean, the defense was significantly way better, and that just fueled a lot of things.
Yeah.
They weren't having to go out there and score 40 points a game to win a ball game. They were able to win games. They beat they beat Pittsburgh 30-7, right? They beat Atlanta 24-7. That's how Coach Davis wants to win, and it was really impressive to see that turnaround under the circumstances. Everyone dealt with the pandemic.
Right.
Not everybody dealt with a pandemic and also taking over a football program. I mean, 2 months before their first first game?
And the only reason that it was 2 months before, honestly, was just because of the pushback of the season. So it's like that in and of itself, navigating that, trying to find teams and to flip the switch from basketball to football. I mean, that's something to be noted.
It's amazing. Really impressive what Coach Dewaski Davis did. And so we appreciate his time here on Texas Football Today. And now we go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I feel like it would be remiss if we didn't mention who do you have tonight in the national championship game? Are you
the basketball national championship?
Yes. Are you sticking with the Bears? Are you going to be a Texas homer here?
I think it's probably. I don't think there's no political upside for me to be like Gonzaga's going to win.
Yeah.
Like Baylor's the underdog, right? Baylor's the
By
underdog.
a little bit. Yeah, I would say that.
Let's see.
I was going to say, what's the line on the game?
The line is a bonus edition of free money. The line tonight is, according to ESPN, 4.5.
Okay.
Gonzaga's a 4.5 point favorite. There's no upside for me to be like, I'm going to take the favorite from out of state.
Right.
Like, no. I'll go with Baylor.
Yeah.
You should also know I've watched almost none of
Did
the
you
tournament.
watch the game the other night, though? The UCLA Gonzaga game? You missed the shot?
I heard about it.
Oh, it was awesome.
I heard about it.
It really was awesome.
Where were we watching? We were watching something else.
Is that when you were watching Kong?
No, I watched that Friday night.
Oh, okay. That was cool. That was a cool sports moment to watch live. I had zero rooting interest in that game.
So
and it was still fun.
Yeah, I'll go with Baylor because there's no reason.
Go out there and bring a national championship
there's no
back.
reason. Feels like everyone's been telling me that Gonzaga is the best team in the country, and it's like,
okay,
so we'll see.
Go win it.
We'll see. Maybe they are. If they win tonight, then I think that everybody will agree.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll go with Baylor. We'll say that they will win 77-74. How about that?
Ooh, I like that.
77.
I hope it's that close of a game.
I hope I nail it on the nose.
I will give you respect if you do that, and that's something I don't do often.
What a low stakes bet this is. All right, so you either continue doing what you're doing, or you go, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good job, Greg.
Got it. All right, Baylor 77, Gonzaga 74.
You heard it here first.
There's your pick to click. Don't bet on that because I'm a basketball dum-dum. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Dewaski Davis, the head coach of the Liberty-Eylau Leopards, for being our guest.
There you
for
go.
Ashley Fickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.